did your dog make your parents completely rethink everything? When I was 14, I'd been pleading with my parents for a support dog for what felt like forever. My anxiety had gotten so intense that just stepping onto school property made me start hyperventilating before I even got to the front doors. My therapist insisted a trained dog would help, but my parents kept shutting the idea down. Dad always complained dogs were too much chaos and too much money. Mom liked to claim I was milking the anxiety thing to skip classes. At dinner, Dad would smirk and say, "If you're too nervous to sit in English class, how would you ever manage to walk a dog every day?" So when my older cousin Liam called saying his coworker couldn't keep their Australian Shepherd mix Harper anymore, I said yes before my brain even caught up. Harper already knew grounding tasks and pressure therapy commands. I met Liam behind the rec center that Thursday, and Harper trotted over to me like we'd been living together for years. By the time I walked her home, she was glued to my side. My parents completely lost it the second I stepped inside. Mom started going off about responsibility and shots and licensing fees. Dad paced around the kitchen like I dragged home a wild wolf. They barely acknowledged me through dinner. Finally, Dad came up with his solution. I could keep Harper for exactly 7 days to prove I couldn't handle her. He even pulled out this tiny black notebook and started jotting down every mistake like he was documenting a crime scene. Day 1, forgot to refill water bowl. Day 2, mud prints on hallway rug, and that was only the beginning. But then something shifted. The very first night Harper stayed in my room, I didn't have my usual 3 a.m. breakdown. Normally I'd wake up shaking, crying, struggling to breathe. That night, when my chest started tightening around midnight, Harper quietly hopped onto my bed, curled against me, and rested her head just below my ribs. Her weight calmed my breathing like someone had turned down a volume knob inside my chest. At breakfast, Mom asked why I looked like I'd actually slept for once. I told her exactly what Harper had done. Mom waved it off, saying it was probably just new pet excitement. Day 3 was even more obvious. I had a Spanish tutoring session with Mr. Herrera, and I usually left his office in tears because I'd panic over small mistakes. This time, I brought Harper. Mr. Herrera looked irritated at first, but within minutes, Harper was gently nudging my arm every time my breathing sped up. She grounded me before panic could even settle in. I translated 3 paragraphs without crying once. Mr. Herrera even emailed my parents later to say he'd never seen me so composed. Day 4, meeting with the school counselor, Miss Avery, to discuss my attendance. Normally, those meetings made me nauseous, but Harper positioned herself right at my feet. Each time my hands shook or my leg bounced, she pressed her head against me or pawed softly at my knee. Miss Avery watched the entire thing, the cues, the responses, the way Harper adjusted every few seconds without being told. That evening, she called my parents. "Your daughter isn't coping better because she's avoiding responsibility. She's coping better because this animal is stabilizing her nervous system. This is not optional support." Dad still clung to his precious 1-week rule, scribbling less and less in his notebook. By day 5, his notes looked like Harper's toy left by sofa, dog hair on throw blanket, nothing about me failing, nothing about irresponsibility. Then day 6 happened. Dad had been dealing with brutal work stress and hadn't slept properly in days. Around 2:30 a.m., I heard him breathing hard, shallow, fast, panicked. Before I even got out of bed, Harper lifted her head, jumped down, and walked straight to my parents' room like she'd rehearsed it. I followed quietly and watched from the doorway as she climbed onto their bed and rested her head on Dad's chest, the same way she did for me. He didn't push her away. He didn't say anything. He just placed his hand on her neck, and slowly his breathing calmed. Neither of us mentioned it the next morning, but when I came downstairs, Harper's food bowls had been moved neatly into a cabinet next to the fridge. Her toys were arranged in a woven basket near Dad's recliner. When I asked about it, Dad just muttered, "Figured she should have a proper place." The notebook vanished after that, and that night, Dad, who once said dogs were a waste of money, took Harper on a walk himself, whistling the whole time like she'd always been part of our family.